What you're about to hear is the story of a woman who got a text from her boyfriend saying he needed to feel single. Not be single, just feel it. And I replied with 2 words. Say no more. Then I removed him from my phone plan. Both credit cards. Every streaming account. His gym membership. And roadside coverage. All within 1 hour. He wanted the vibe of being single without the bill. I gave him the full package. My name is Elena Mercer. I'm 26 years old. My boyfriend, Ryan Keller, was 24. We had been together for 3 years. Living together for 1, and last Monday, while I was sitting at my desk eating leftover rice out of a plastic container, my phone buzzed with a message that made my fork stop halfway to my mouth. Elena, we need to talk. You're suffocating me. I love you. But I need to feel single again. Not be single. Just feel single. You're too clingy. And it's making me resent you. I'm staying with Tessa for a while. Don't text me constantly. Give me the freedom I need. I read it once, then twice, then a 3rd time. Slower. Because some sentences are so ridiculous, your brain needs extra time to confirm they are real. Feel single while still being in a relationship. That was the sentence he typed. Read back. And sent to the woman whose name was on half the things keeping his life comfortable. The funny part was the word clingy. I texted Ryan maybe twice a day while we were at work. Have a good day in the morning. Maybe, what do you want for dinner, around noon? Some days I forgot entirely. And we would go 8 hours without messaging at all. We ate dinner together, when our schedules lined up because we lived together. Apparently, that was oppression. Meanwhile, Ryan had been going out with his friends 3 nights a week. Coming home around 3 in the morning. Smelling like bar smoke and expensive cologne he never wore for me. I never questioned him. Never demanded updates. Never asked who he was with. I thought that was trust. Apparently, he thought it was a cushion. And I'll be fair. Our relationship had not always been bad. Ryan could be charming when he wanted to be. He made me laugh in grocery store aisles. He remembered stupid little things. Like how I hated ice in my drinks, and how I watched the same mystery shows when I was stressed. But over the last 6 months, something had shifted. 1 night out became 2, 2 became 3. His phone started staying face down on the table. He laughed at messages he wouldn't show me. His ex-girlfriend, Vanessa Cole, suddenly became just someone from the old group again. I noticed. I just didn't say anything, because I trusted him. And maybe that was my first mistake. When that message came in, I didn't cry. I didn't send a paragraph. I didn't ask what I had done wrong. I simply typed, say no more. Then I got to work. Ryan had a habit of forgetting who paid for things. Nothing allowed. Malicious way at first. More like a slow comfort. The kind people settle into when someone else keeps making life easier. His phone line was on my family plan because when we moved in together, he was using a terrible prepaid plan and complaining about dropped calls. He was an authorized user on 2 of my credit cards because his credit score was bad. And I wanted to help him build history. Netflix, Spotify, HBO Max, all mine. His gym membership was attached to my account because I got a discount adding a second member. Roadside assistance, mine too. I added him after his car broke down twice on the highway. None of that bothered me when he was my boyfriend. But he wanted to feel single, so I gave him exactly what single felt like. Within 1 hour, I removed his phone line from my plan. I revoked his authorized user access on both credit cards. I changed every streaming password. I canceled his gym membership. I removed him from roadside coverage. Single people pay their own bills. All of them. By themselves. The timing was almost poetic. Ryan was sitting at work when his phone service died. 1 minute. He had a phone. The next, he had an expensive rectangle that only worked on Wi-Fi. Tuesday morning. He came back. I was in the bedroom, buttoning my blouse before work. When I heard his key scrape in the lock, he stepped inside with messy hair, tired eyes, And the expression of someone who had spent the night discovering that Tessa's couch was less romantic than freedom sounded in a text. He found me in the mirror. What did you do to my phone? I didn't turn around. Your phone. You know what I mean. You cut off my service. You lost access to my phone plan. His face darkened. That's not what I meant. You said you wanted to feel single. Elena. I needed space. Single people have space. They also have their own phone plans. He stared at me like he was waiting for the punchline. There wasn't one. He said he needed his phone for work. Emergencies. Basic life. I told him there was a carrier store 2 blocks from his office, and that I was sure they had individual plans. His mouth opened, then closed. I picked up my bag and walked past him. 20 minutes later, he called me from his work phone. His card had declined when he tried to buy coffee. I listened quietly while he explained it, like the machine had personally betrayed him. Then I said, authorized user access was revoked. You can't just do that. I can. They were my cards. You're punishing me. No. Ryan. I'm respecting your request. He hung up. By noon, Tessa started texting me. She said I was being petty. She said Ryan only needed breathing room. I replied, he has all the room he asked for. She didn't answer after that. Wednesday evening, Ryan tried going to the gym. His membership was declined at the front desk. He actually had the employee call me. The poor guy sounded exhausted before he even finished saying hello. I confirmed the membership was canceled and said Ryan was welcome to open his own account. In the background, I heard Ryan talking loudly about manipulation and control. I almost laughed, not because it was funny, because the audacity was breathtaking. But Wednesday night was when I realized Ryan had never wanted freedom. He had wanted benefits without responsibility. Atunci prezece p.m. He came home. Or tried to. The door opened 3 inches and stopped against the chain I had installed that afternoon. Elena. He snapped. Let me in. I stood behind the door. Barefoot. Calm. You're staying with Tessa. I needed space. Not to be locked out? You're not locked out of your place. You moved out to feel single. I live here. You lived here. Silence. Then his voice cracked into anger. My stuff is in there. In the spare room. Arrange a pickup time. He lost it in the hallway. Full volume. No shame. Mrs. Patterson from 3B opened her door. Robe tied neatly. Face calm as ever. Ryan turned to her immediately. She locked me out of my own apartment. Mrs. Patterson blinked at him. Oh. Dear. I thought you moved out. Elena mentioned you needed to be on your own again. The look on Ryan's face stayed with me all night, because for the first time, someone repeated his choice back to him without softening it, and he hated how it sounded. The hallway finally went quiet after Ryan stormed off. I closed the door, rested my forehead against it, and let myself breathe. Not because I regretted what I'd done, because I knew this was only the beginning. People who are used to comfort don't notice it until it's gone. Thursday passed, almost peacefully. Too peacefully. By lunchtime, I realized my phone hadn't buzzed once. No angry texts from Ryan's friends. No emotional paragraphs. No calls from his family. That kind of silence isn't peace. It's strategy. Sure enough, Friday morning my landlord called. Elena. Ryan contacted me. He said, he claims you've illegally kicked him out. I almost smiled. Ryan had moved into my apartment when we decided to live together. But the lease had always stayed in my name. We talked about adding him more than once. But somehow it never happened. Now I was grateful. I explained everything. Then forwarded the screenshot of Ryan's message, asking to feel single, and telling me he was staying with Tessa. There was a long pause. Then my landlord laughed. So, he voluntarily left, and is upset you didn't beg him to come back. Pretty much. Keep every message. Just in case. I already have. By then, I'd started a folder on my laptop. Screenshots. Call logs. Dates. Every conversation. Something told me I'd need all of it. I wasn't wrong. Friday afternoon, I walked into the lobby of my office and immediately saw Ryan. He wasn't alone. Standing beside him was his mother, Gloria. Ryan's eyes were red, as though he'd practiced looking devastated in the mirror. Gloria folded her arms the second she saw me. "Elena," she snapped. "What is all this childish nonsense?" I set my purse on a nearby chair. "I'm simply respecting Ryan's decision." Ryan stepped forward. "You've taken everything away from me." "No." I met his eyes. "I stopped paying for things that belong to me." Gloria shook her head. "You're his girlfriend. You're supposed to support him." I was. I kept my voice perfectly calm, until he decided he wanted the single experience. "That's not what he meant," Ryan blurted. "Then what did you mean?" He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Finally, he muttered, "I just needed space." "You have it. You know this isn't what I asked for." I pulled out my phone and opened our conversation. "You wrote, 'I need to feel single again.'" I turned the screen toward both of them. "You also wrote that you were staying with Tessa." Neither of them spoke. I scrolled upward. The day before that, 2 messages. "Good morning. Dinner tonight." I looked at Gloria. "Can you show me where I was controlling?" She stared at the screen for several seconds, then looked away. At that exact moment, one of my coworkers, Daniel, walked through the lobby carrying a coffee. He slowed just enough to notice the awkward circle. "Everything okay?" I smiled politely, just explaining that adults who want to be single usually pay their own bills. Daniel nodded once. "Seems reasonable." Then he continued walking without another word. Ryan looked like he wanted the floor to open beneath him. Gloria wasn't finished. "You embarrassed my son." "No." He embarrassed himself. "If you loved him, I did." I interrupted softly. "For 3 years. I supported him when his credit was ruined. I added him to my accounts. I trusted him. But loving someone doesn't mean financing their independence while they complain that you're too present." Ryan suddenly took a step toward me. "I never wanted to break up." "You already did." "I just wanted freedom." "You confused freedom with convenience." His shoulders dropped. For a split second, I saw genuine panic behind the anger. Not because he'd lost me, because he'd lost everything attached to me. He reached for my hand. I stepped back. His fingers closed around empty air. "If you ever loved me," he whispered, "you wouldn't be doing this." I looked at him quietly. "If you had respected me, you never would have asked to feel single while expecting me to keep paying for your life." Security had already begun walking toward us. I nodded politely. "I think this conversation is over." Ryan and Gloria left without another word, but the campaign didn't end there. Saturday morning I was grocery shopping when I spotted Tessa, Ashley, and Brooke, all 3, standing beside the cereal aisle. "Too convenient." Ashley approached first. "Ryan hasn't been sleeping," Brooke added. "He barely eats." Tessa sighed dramatically. "He had to borrow money from his dad, just to buy a prepaid phone." I picked up a box of cereal. "That's unfortunate." Ashley frowned. "That's all you're going to say?" "What would you like me to say?" "He's suffering. So are lots of single adults." Brooke crossed her arms. "You've made your point." "I haven't made any point." Ryan did, when he asked to feel single. They followed me into the frozen food section. "He's learned his lesson." "He didn't mean it." "He still loves you." I stopped beside the freezer doors. Then he should have said what he actually meant. Silence. No one answered, because there wasn't an answer. Eventually, they drifted away. Sunday night brought another surprise. Around 10 o'clock, someone knocked on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole. Ryan stood there. Beside him was an attractive brunette I'd never seen before. She looked confused. Ryan forced a smile. "Elena." I didn't open the door. "What?" "I wanted you to meet Chloe." The woman gave me an awkward little wave. Ryan grinned wider. "We've been seeing each other." "Interesting. So quickly." He shrugged. "I'm moving on." The woman looked between us. "Wait." She frowned. "I thought you said you were single." Ryan laughed nervously. "I am." I answered through the closed door. He asked to feel single while keeping our relationship. Chloe slowly turned toward him. "What?" Ryan started talking faster. "It's complicated." "It isn't," I said. He never officially ended our relationship. He just wanted the benefits removed, without accepting the consequences. Chloe's expression completely changed. She stared at Ryan. You told me your ex was obsessed with you. Ryan swallowed. She is. I laughed once. Does this seem obsessed? There was a long silence. Finally, Chloe exhaled. I'm not getting involved in whatever this is. She turned around. Ryan grabbed her wrist. Wait. She gently pulled free. No. I've only known you for 2 days. And I'm already exhausted. She walked toward the elevator, without looking back. Ryan watched her disappear. Then he slammed his fist against my apartment door. You ruined that. No. You did. You couldn't even tell the truth, for one date. His breathing became ragged. You'll regret this. I don't think so. For several seconds neither of us spoke. Finally, he kicked the bottom of the door. Hard. A second later, he cursed loudly, and grabbed his foot. I heard limping footsteps disappear down the hallway. Mrs. Patterson's apartment door opened once again. She looked after him before smiling gently at me. Poor boy. She paused. I suppose being single is more expensive than he imagined. I couldn't help smiling. It seems so. I locked the deadbolt. But, deep down, I had the unmistakable feeling that Ryan wasn't finished trying to rewrite the story. And the worst confrontation was still waiting for both of us. Monday morning. Just after 9. My phone lit up with a number I didn't recognize. I answered anyway. Hello? A deep voice cleared his throat. Elena. This is Robert. Ryan's father. Unlike Gloria. He sounded calm, almost tired. I hope I'm not bothering you. You aren't. There was a brief silence before he spoke again. I know this is between you two. But maybe you could be the bigger person. I leaned back in my office chair. I already have been. He sighed. Ryan says, you took everything from him. I stopped paying for things that belonged to me. That's not what he wanted. I know exactly what he wanted. I looked out the window. He wanted all the security of a committed relationship, while pretending he wasn't in one. Robert didn't interrupt. He wanted freedom, without responsibility. Another pause. Finally, he quietly said, Fair enough. Then he hung up. That conversation stayed with me all day. Not because I'd won, but because even his own father sounded like someone who had finally run out of excuses. Tuesday morning brought the next chapter. Social media. Ryan uploaded a long emotional post. According to him, I was financially abusive, controlling, manipulative. He claimed I had made him dependent before cruelly cutting him off because he asked for healthy space. He tagged me. Within minutes, the comments exploded. Some people believed him. Others started asking uncomfortable questions. Didn't you move out voluntarily? Didn't you literally say you wanted to be single? Instead of arguing, I uploaded exactly one image, the screenshot, no caption, no explanation. Just Ryan's own message. I need to feel single again. I'm staying with Tessa. The internet did the rest. Within an hour, the comments had completely shifted. So, what exactly was taken out of context? You literally asked for this. If you wanted independence, why were you using her credit cards? Ryan deleted the post. Then he uploaded another. My words were misunderstood. Someone replied, almost immediately. What possible context changes? I need to feel single. That post disappeared too. By Wednesday, the situation had become impossible for him to control. Around lunchtime, Gloria called. Ryan was on speaker beside her. I could hear several voices in the background. It sounded like a family meeting. Gloria spoke first. After talking everything through, Ryan is willing to forgive you. I blinked. I'm sorry. He'll come back. I actually laughed. Not because I wanted to, because I genuinely thought she'd made a joke. Come back. To the relationship. Ryan finally grabbed the phone. I'm giving you one chance to fix this. My eyebrows lifted. You'll restore my phone, my cards, my gym membership, everything. Or we're finished. I waited 3 full seconds, then answered quietly. We've been finished since the day you packed your bag and told me you wanted to feel single. His breathing grew. Heavier. I mean permanently. I know. So do I. Click. He ended the call. That evening I changed one more thing. The spare alarm code. Then I installed a small security system throughout the apartment. Something inside me whispered that Ryan wasn't ready to let go. Thursday proved that instinct right. At 2:07 the morning, an alarm exploded through the apartment. I shot upright in bed. Someone had opened the front door. My heart pounded as I grabbed my phone. 911. There's someone inside my apartment. The dispatcher kept me calm, while officers were dispatched. I stayed inside my bedroom, with the door locked. The alarm continued screaming. Then I heard Ryan's voice. No. No. Come on. He was desperately punching numbers into the keypad. The old code. The one I'd changed. 4 minutes later, police officers entered the apartment. I stepped into the hallway. Ryan was standing frozen beside the front door, still holding the spare key he'd taken from the emergency lockbox, hidden near the fire extinguisher. I'd forgotten. He knew where it was. The officers separated us immediately. One asked Ryan for identification. Another asked me to explain. I opened the folder I'd spent 2 weeks building. Screenshots, call history, photos, the landlord's messages, everything. One officer quietly read through the timeline, then looked at Ryan. Sit. Your driver's license lists a different address. Ryan hesitated. He had changed it to Tessa's apartment, days after leaving. That single decision destroyed his argument. You voluntarily established another residence. Ryan looked at the floor. It wasn't supposed to be permanent. The officer nodded slowly, then turned toward me. Mom? Would you like to press charges for unlawful entry? Ryan's head snapped toward me. His confidence vanished instantly. Elena. His voice cracked. Please. Don't do this. I looked at him for a long moment. This was the same man who'd accused me of suffocating him. The same man who wanted to feel single while expecting me to finance his life. The same man who had tried to paint me as abusive because I respected his decision. I could have pressed charges. Everything supported me. Instead, I shook my head. No. Both officers looked surprised. I don't want revenge. I met Ryan's eyes one last time. I want peace. I turned back to the officers. As long as he leaves tonight, and never enters this apartment again without written permission. The older officer nodded. Understood. He faced Ryan. If you return again, without authorization, you'll be arrested for trespassing. Ryan started arguing. I still have things here. You'll arrange pickup. I lived here. You no longer do. There was nothing left to debate. The officers escorted him into the hallway. Just before the elevator doors closed, Ryan looked back. For the first time, since all of this began, he didn't look angry. He looked terrified. Because reality had finally caught up with the fantasy he'd been living, the fantasy where he could drift in and out of commitment whenever it suited him. Where love was permanent but responsibility was optional. As the elevator doors shut, the apartment fell silent. I locked the door, turned off the alarm, and for the first time in weeks, I slept through the rest of the night. I thought the hardest part was finally over. I had no idea that Ryan's greatest lesson and my greatest closure were still waiting just ahead. The morning after the police escorted Ryan out of my apartment, my phone rang again. This time it was an HR representative. Good morning. We're verifying employment information for Ryan Keller. He's applying for an apartment. I answered the few questions they were legally allowed to ask, and wished them a good day. After I hung up, I sat quietly for a moment. He was finally doing what every independent adult eventually has to do. Finding his own place, paying his own bills, building his own life. Exactly what he'd claimed he wanted. About an hour later, Tessa texted me. Ryan found a tiny studio across town. He's struggling. Are you happy now? I stared at the screen before replying. I hope he finds peace. Truly, being single isn't a punishment. It's simply responsibility. She never responded. A mutual friend filled me in on everything else over the next few days. Ryan had been asking almost everyone in our shared friend group for help. Security deposits, furniture, kitchen supplies, money for utilities. Anyone willing to listen heard the same story. Elena left me with nothing. Unfortunately for him, nearly everyone had already seen the screenshot. Very few people believed he was the victim anymore. He even uploaded a short video talking about financial abuse. It stayed online less than a day. Someone posted the screenshot in the comments. Again, the video disappeared before sunset. Reality wasn't cooperating with the version of events Ryan wanted people to believe. Then came the bills. His new phone plan cost nearly $100 every month after the salesperson convinced him to add insurance and unlimited data. The apartment required a large utility deposit because he had no payment history under his own name. Internet, rent, groceries, insurance, gas. For the first time in years, every dollar leaving his account was one he had to earn himself. No shared accounts. No second card in someone else's wallet. No quiet safety net waiting underneath him. Gloria called one last time. Her voice was softer than before. Elena. Ryan's having a difficult time. I remained silent. Would you at least consider paying his phone bill? Just the phone. It would really help him get back on his feet. I almost smiled. I thought I was the clingy girlfriend. She didn't answer. After several awkward seconds, she quietly wished me well and ended the call. A week later, I received an Instagram message. It was from Chloe, the woman Ryan had brought to my apartment. Her message made me laugh out loud. You were right. He asked if I'd add him to my family phone plan after our first date. I've never blocked someone so fast. I apologize for dragging her into the situation. She replied with a laughing emoji and wished me luck. That was the last time we ever spoke. The following Saturday, I stopped at Target to buy a few things. As I turned into the grocery section, I noticed someone standing in the ramen aisle. Ryan. His shopping basket was almost completely full of instant noodles, canned soup, frozen vegetables, and store-brand pasta. Nothing wrong with that. Everyone budgets differently. But I remembered all the nights he'd casually tossed expensive snacks into our cart without ever looking at the total, because I was usually the one paying. He looked up. Our eyes met. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then he slowly walked toward me. Hi. Hi. He looked thinner, more tired, older somehow. I miss us. I didn't answer. I miss coming home. I miss dinner together. I miss everything. I studied his face. For the first time since this entire mess had started. There was no anger, no performance, no audience, just regret. I made a mistake, he whispered. I know. Can we sit down sometime? I just want to explain. I shook my head gently. You already explained. No. I explained badly. You explained perfectly. He frowned. You told me exactly what you wanted. You wanted to feel single. I simply respected your decision. His eyes filled with tears. I didn't know what I was asking. I believe you. I thought. He hesitated. I thought nothing would really change. There it was, the sentence, hiding underneath everything else. He hadn't wanted independence. He had wanted immunity. He expected life to stay exactly the same, while he explored whether something better might be waiting for him. I've changed, he said quietly. I've learned. I hope you have. So. There's no chance. I smiled sadly. No. He lowered his head. I really loved you. I know. And I loved you. But love, without respect, eventually becomes obligation. And I won't live like that again. He wiped his eyes. I'm sorry. So why? After a long silence, I nodded politely and walked away. He didn't follow me. An hour later, a text arrived from his new number. That was cruel. I read it once, then blocked the number. Not because I hated him, because the conversation had already ended weeks earlier. A few days later, I ran into Robert at a gas station. He finished pumping gas, then walked over. I wanted to thank you. I looked surprised. For what? For not pressing charges. He smiled, sadly. And I think Ryan finally understands something he never appreciated. He glanced toward his truck. Maybe he needed this. I nodded. I think so too. We shook hands before going our separate ways. Over the following month, our shared friend group quietly divided itself. Some believed I had gone too far. Others believed I hadn't gone far enough. Eventually, it stopped mattering. Ashley admitted something that finally explained everything. Ryan hadn't suddenly wanted to feel single. For weeks before sending that text, he had been privately messaging other women, testing the waters, seeing if anyone seemed interested. He wanted to know he had another option before giving up the stability of our relationship. The problem was, no one chose him. When every conversation fizzled out, he tried keeping one foot inside our relationship while placing the other outside. He wanted freedom, with a guaranteed place to come home to. Instead, he found consequences. I heard that even Tessa grew tired of him after only a week. The constant complaining, the refusal to accept responsibility, the endless explanations about how everything was somehow someone else's fault. By the time Ryan moved into his own apartment, even his closest friend needed space from him. As for me, life became wonderfully quiet. I joined a climbing gym, started taking weekend road trips, read books without constantly checking my phone. Little by little, the apartment stopped feeling empty. It started feeling peaceful. A few months later, I met someone new. His name was Daniel. He had his own apartment, his own career, his own phone plan. More importantly, he never wanted to feel single. When we committed to each other, we were both fully present. No games, no backup plans, no one foot outside the relationship, just honesty. Looking back now, I don't think I punished Ryan. I simply accepted his words at face value. He asked for the single experience. I removed everything that only existed because we were partners. The hardest lesson he learned wasn't how expensive a phone plan could be. It wasn't rent, or utilities, or grocery bills. It was discovering that commitment isn't just about receiving support. It's about appreciating the person standing beside you before you start wondering what life would look like without them. Ryan wanted to feel single. In the end, he finally did. And this time, there was no one left to pay the price except him.